From a home kitchen in KwaZulu-Natal to the shelves of nearly 200 Pick n Pay stores, Blessing Sithole has turned his passion for baking into a thriving business. But scaling a small business isn't just about creating great products. It's about navigating strict food safety and manufacturing regulations and building trust with major corporate buyers. Joining me to tell us more on this is the founder and CEO of Bakers Creationz himself, Blessing Sithole. Blessing, thank you so much for joining us. You've taken Bakers Creationz from a home kitchen to supplying nearly 200 Pick n Pay stores. What were the first steps you took to prepare your business to move or scale to this retail space?
Greetings, Khaka. Thank you so much for having me on your show. It's such an honor. We started the business as early as 2014 to trade as an official business, having started from the home kitchen, trading informal. And we got the deal with Pick n Pay in 2016 because they were interested in our product. We had a product that they felt it was great for their shelves. However, it took us nearly 3 years to achieve the required food safety compliance to be able to supply the retail industry, because it's quite tough.
Blessing, I'd like us to talk about how South African food regulations require food business operators to keep ingredient and additive records for at least 12 months. How did you adapt to that in order to make sure that you also comply?
So we had to do the necessary training, so engaging with the food safety businesses that specializes in training so that they can equip us, not just me as an entrepreneur, but also my staff, the people that work with me in the business, the people who actually handle the food on a daily basis. So we had to do upgrades in our facility in order to meet the necessary standards. So with all the support that we received, the technical support, so we were able to finally achieve the compliance, because it's such a critical element of trading with food, because as it says, it's a food safety compliance, because it matters the most that the food that you produce, every single ingredient is traceable. They say from farm to fork. So it has to be traceable right from the fork back to the farm, each and every ingredient that you used.
And just drilling on equipping yourself, meeting environmental health, food safety and manufacturing regulations is or can be a major hurdle for SMEs. Can you break that down for us? What is the compliance cost?
Yes, Khaka, it's so true. It is one of the biggest hurdles, especially for Black-owned small businesses based in the rural areas, based in the townships, because it is quite expensive and it requires certain standards in terms of the facility, and that we hardly afford. So we'll have to relocate to industrial areas in order to easily have a facility that complies to those standards. So basically, what is required? The first one is what is called certificate of acceptability from the Department of Health, from the municipality that your business is based on. So with the certificate of acceptability from the Department of Health, the terms are, or the criteria is a bit relaxed. And then once you achieve that, then you need to go for the major one, which is the actual food safety, that actually ensures that the food that you produce is up to the standard, and the ingredients that you use, they are basically in a condition that they can be consumed. And you are also able to trace every single ingredient back, not just to your facility, because should it happen that there's a consumer that consumed your food and probably something happens, or it is suspected that the consumer is probably sick because they consumed your product, you should be able to trace everything back, so that if it happens that the mistake probably happened in your facility, you should be able to spot that. And again, if the mistake is not with your processes or is not something that happened within your facility, you must be able to trace it back to the ingredient. And once you trace it back to the ingredient that is faulty, you should be able to pass it back to the supplier of the ingredient, of which they also do the same in order for their ingredient to be compliant for you to use it. Otherwise, you shouldn't be using ingredients coming from suppliers that are not compliant, because that affects your compliance.
You earlier briefly touched on support. And I imagine working with corporates like Pick n Pay and Spar can be challenging. How did you navigate that, and how did you build credibility and trust with these buyers?
It is tough, Khaka. And being a small business, and never had a similar experience previously, but we had to learn, because being an entrepreneurship is about learning. So you need to source information, you need to find the right sources of the right information. And fortunately with Pick n Pay, because they also have their own wing, which is the small enterprise development unit. So, and they were able to hold our hands and walk us through the journey of understanding their systems, as well as understanding how Pick n Pay, as such a big organization, how they work, And fortunately, we've been able to learn and grow with them, to a point whereby we've been awarded as the supplier of the year at Pick n Pay. So for us, it shows that there is something we're doing right.
Blessing, how important do you think it is for big corporations to create programs that support small businesses like yourself?
It's basically a thin line between life and the death of a small business. Such support definitely contributes a lot. For example, we currently participating in a Nedbank pitch and polish competition. As much as it is a competition, but there's a lot of learnings that we get and that assist us in terms of growing our business moving forward.
Well, Blessing, indeed, entrepreneurship is a learning curve every day. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Khaka. And once again, thank you for the opportunity to be part of your show.
Well, that was Blessing Sithole, founder of Bakers Creationz. Until next time, goodbye.